Now here in this presentation, we will be doing the exercise questions from 11 to 15 of the chapter Presentation of Data of Statistics for class 11. Now question number 11 says, what kind of diagrams are more effective in representing the following? The first one is monthly rainfall in a year. The answer for this question will be the monthly rainfall in a year can be represented by the arithmetic line graph or the bar diagram. The arithmetic line graph is the time series graph where time we know we can take as year, month, days, weeks, hours, minutes or seconds, and they are plotted on the x-axis and the value of the variables are plotted on the y-axis. Hence arithmetic line graph will be an effective way to represent the data. Next, we can do it by the bar diagram. See here also in the bar diagram, what we plot the month on the x-axis and the rainfall in the y-axis. So the bars represent the rainfall for every month. So we can represent it through the arithmetic line graph or through the bar diagram. Now we come to the second question of question number 11, which is composition of population of Delhi by religion. So the answer here will be the composition of population of Delhi by religion can be represented by the pie diagram or the pie chart. Here pie chart, what is a pie chart? It is the component of the geometric diagram and it is a circle whose area is proportionately divided among the components. So here we see in the pie chart or the pie diagram, what we see that the different religions, they are represented in the circle as per the area proportionately. Now we consider the third question of question number 11, which is components of cost in a factory. So the answer here will be the components of a factory cost can be represented by the component bar diagram or the pie chart. So in two ways we can represent this components of cost in a factory. So in the component bar diagram, we see the components, they are presented in the x-axis, which is labor, machinery, transportation and quality maintenance as taken, and the costs in month in rupees is presented in the y-axis. While in the pie chart also or the pie diagram, we also can represent it through the area proportion to the labor, machinery, transportation, quality maintenance cost, which are 50,000, 30,000, 12,000 and 5,000. Now we consider question number 12, which says, suppose you want to emphasize the increase in the share of urban non-workers and lower level of urbanization in India as shown in the given example. How would you do it in the tabular form? So here in the answer, we see that here higher share of urban non-workers constitute about 67.9% of the total population, and in the rural areas, the non-workers constitute 58.5% of the total population. So here the rural population is 73 crores while the urban population is 27 crore. So we represent this table in the column diagram, which shows that the rural non-workers is more than the urban non-workers, while the total population in the rural is also in crores is more, which is 73, than the urban total population, which is 27. So in this way we represent the column diagram from the given table. Now we come to question number 13, which is how does the procedure of drawing a histogram differ when class intervals are unequal in comparison to equal class intervals in a frequency table? So for this the answer will be, we know that histogram is the two-dimensional geometric diagram. Histogram has sets of rectangles where the base represent the intervals between the class boundaries along the x-axis and the areas proportional to the class frequencies. So here histogram with equal class intervals have similar width. Draw class intervals on the x-axis and the frequency on the y-axis, and then we construct the rectangles. So here we do it in the next part. Here we have drawn the histogram with the equal class intervals, which is 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and their respective frequencies as 6, 1 and 3. So we find the histogram here because the class intervals are equal. So they are of equi width and equi size. So in this way you will represent the histogram of equal class intervals. Now in the next part, we will have to understand this very carefully. When the class intervals have different widths, the frequencies, so we cannot take the frequencies directly as heights, as wider intervals would appear larger even if the concentration of data is low. So what we will have to do? So the first is what we will compute the frequency density. What is frequency density? How we will calculate it? Frequency density is equal to frequency by class width. So adjusted frequency will be what? It will be frequency into the smallest class width by the class width. So in this way we find the adjusted frequency, and the histogram plotted for this will be what? In the x-axis it will be the class intervals, unequal class intervals, and in the y-axis it will be the adjusted frequency calculated. So in this way we represent the histogram for the unequal class intervals. Now, question number 14 says the Indian Sugar Mills Associated reported that sugar production during the first fortnight of December 2001 was about 3,87,000 tons as against 3,78,000 tons during the same fortnight last year, 2000. The offtake of sugar from factories during the first fortnight of December 2001 was 2,83,000 tons for internal consumption and 41,000 tons for exports as against 1,54,000 tons for internal consumption and nil for exports during the same fortnight last season. The questions are: present the data in tabular form. Second question is, suppose you are to present this data in diagrammatic form, which of the diagrams would you use and why? Present these data diagrammatically. So we will have to answer the three questions. The first answer for present the data in tabular form is, see here there is the tabular presentation of sugar production and offtake. Here the items are sugar production, offtake for internal consumptions, and offtake for exports. And here the first fortnight of December 2000 in tons and the first fortnight of December 2001 in tons are presented. So we find the values as 3,78,000, 1,54,000, and offtake for exports is 0 for first fortnight of December 2000 in tons. So here again we put the values accordingly, and here the tabular presentation of sugar production and offtake is presented. Now the question number 2 and question number 3 for question 14, that suppose you are to present this data in diagrammatic form, which of the diagrams would you use and why, and present this data diagrammatically. So here the most suitable diagrammatic presentation for this data set will be the multiple or the comparative bar diagram. The multiple or comparative bar diagram is the most suitable one because it helps in comparison of data properly. So here we find the multiple bar diagram, where in the y-axis we have presented the items which are offtake for exports, offtake for internal consumption, and sugar production, and here the values are presented in the x-axis in tons. So we present this in the comparative bar diagram form. Here, the last question of this chapter, which is question number 15, which says that the following table shows the estimated sectoral real growth rates. This is percentage change over the previous year in GDP at factor cost. So here in the table, it is seen that for the different years, we have the agriculture and allied sectors, we have the industry and the services. So here all the percentage change over the previous year in GDP at factor cost is given in the table. So which type of graph which will be most suitable? So we find that the answer will be the arithmetic line graph or the time series graph, which will be the most effective graph to represent this table in the diagrammatic form. So here we have drawn the arithmetic line graph accordingly. The years are presented in the x-axis and the different sectors are presented in the y-axis, where the lines drawn accordingly. The orange color we see that it is for the agricultural elite sectors, the light green is for the industry, and the dark green is for the services. So we present the values in the graph in this way and plot it accordingly.